Well, good evening. This is Sue, the Soggy Stamper. Rain or shine, it's stamping time. I don't know where it is like where you are. I imagine it's hot and sunny, and like it is here in the Pacific Northwest. Tonight, this is my fabulous Friday Facebook Live, and tonight I am so excited to show you how to make this gorgeous foiled card. I have used the Garden Silouette hot foil dies to do the foiling, and I am using the Lovely Arrangements bouquet bundle for the flower and the leaf. And then for the birthday, happy birthday, I'm using the Happy Birthday from Lily of the Valley stamp set. So that's the product that we're going to be using. I have already done the foiling. This is a piece of Blackberry Bliss, and it is 5.5 by 6 1/4, so that the whole die fit on it. And I wanted to save the reveal until I was live, so you can see how gorgeous it is. So we'll just peel back the foil, and look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? I could not decide what to do with this because it's just beautiful. I just hated to cut it up. It's kind of hard to tell what direction to put it. Maybe most of the flowers are up that way. I don't know. Anyway, it's gorgeous. So I called a friend of mine, Ruthie, and I said, I'm not quite sure what I want to do with this. I had originally decided I was going to cut out kind of a fancy frame and put the Lily stamp on it, and decided no, that wouldn't work because this is too fancy for a simple image like this. So anyway, she said, well, here's a card I made, and she showed me this design. She used it from a 6x6 wonder type thing where you cut the cardstock, the designer series paper up and make several different cards. So I took her idea and I adopted it, or changed it a little bit. So first thing is a card base of Blackberry Bliss, 5.5 by 8.5, standard card base. I rarely use this color, just rarely, because, I don't know, I just don't go for the dark purple or something. Okay, so now, this I'm going to trim off the some of the edge, because I want the embossing clear through the whole piece. And I want my images to run this way. So I'm going to trim off the top. The extra piece of cardstock outside of the die. Okay, now I'm going to go this way, and I'm going to trim this side. Trim off that. Now the total length is 5 1/4. So I'm going to put this at 5 1/4. And I have this strip left over. I can use it on another project. Okay, now each of the pieces are 1 1/4 by this 5 1/4. So which way do I want my images to go? I think I like it that way. I'm going to trim off this edge then. Okay, not quite right, but close enough. So put this over at 1 1/4. So there's one. And we're going to keep them in order of the way we cut them. Next one, 1 1/4. And 1 1/4. And I've got a nice leftover piece for another project there also. Like I could put something like this on a card. Actually, I'm going to use a strip of this on the inside of the card. So this goes here, and I'm going to trim this off. For that strip, and it is going to be 4 inches. So we'll use that one for the inside. Okay, so that's all the cutting we need to do. So we'll put these on. And I popped them up for a little bit of dimension. There, that looks straight. And I'm going to put the outside one, the other side, next so that I can get spacing well spaced for the middle one. Try to get it lined up the same height. Okay, and then one for the middle. Oop, I'm not sure I get it the right direction. I'm just going to tear off a piece of this. Don't waste any edges. So if you haven't tried the hot foiling yet, I highly recommend it. I am so addicted to it. It's easy, and the results are so professional. Okay, so that takes care of that. Let's see, I did have a piece of white cardstock for the inside. I'll go ahead and put that strip on. Some snail. I'm sorry, seal, not snail. put this on the inside of the card so that we can write on it. So we can write on it and they can see and read it. So there's that part. Okay, now for the rest of the card. Oh, I was going to use, no, that's scrap. Okay, so for the rest of the card, for the decoration, I have a strip here that is 4 inches, 4 inches by 1 inch. And we're going to stamp Happy Birthday on it and emboss it with white embossing powder. So first thing to do for that is to rub the embossing buddy over it so that any static electricity gets removed. I have my Versamark pad. It's not too bad, not too dirty. I have one that's very, very old, and they just seem to always work. I want to stamp it down at this end, like that. And I have a scrap of paper, so I can pour my embossing powder back. And this is the white embossing powder. It comes as set in the Essentials set with black and this and I think copper. No, not copper. Maybe clear. Tap it off, and you can tell there's a lot of excess sticking from static electricity, so we'll brush it off as much as possible. The embossing buddy is supposed to help prevent this. We'll clean it up just as much as possible. Oh, shoot. Got a little bit on my, knocked off a little bit off the T. There, that's better. Of course, if you wanted to leave all these little flecks on there, you could pretend, especially if it was Christmas time, you could pretend that the snow was spelling out Happy Birthday. Maybe. Well, that looks pretty good. I'm going to put this back into the container so I don't have it all over everywhere. I have my embossing tool. And this is the very first technique I saw when that hooked me on stamping, was this heart embossing. And I find that you get the best embossing if you just hold the thing. First off, I like to have the light kind of shining on the powder so that I can get kind of a shine as it melts. And I find that if you do it slowly over one spot instead of going like this, you get a smoother, come on. There. Doesn't take very long. And I do have a pair of tweezers. I just didn't grab them. So there's the Happy Birthday. And for the flower, I'm going to stamp it with fresh freesia. I am going to be so happy when all the colors are in the new magnetic style stamp pads. That didn't make as good an image as I wanted. I'll turn it over because I'm forever struggling to get these open and shut because I just don't like to slide very well. And we'll get the die cutting machine. For this kind of thing, this little mini is perfect. And I also want a leaf. Gotta get the dies out here. So this set has a couple of nice background dies. I want this little leaf and this flower die. And I can put them both on this, just cut them with one pass. Tear off the excess there. And I like the Post-it tape to help hold things in place. And with the mini, you really need to tape it down. On my big one machine, I still use the Silouette magnetic plate. And yes, you can buy a magnetic plate for this. I have one, I just don't think to use it actually. And then the leaf doesn't matter. I'm just going to tear off a little piece here. Squeak, 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 squeak. There we go. Hopefully that did not shift. Yeah, pretty good. And the leaf did a little bit, but that's okay because I don't need the stem of the leaf. Okay, so I'm going to put the leaf on with a glue dot. These little glue dots come in the paper pumpkin kits. They give you a ton of them because it's their way of giving you adhesive to use on the projects. But I like to use my Stampin' Seal for much of it, so I always have a lot of these left over. And the flower is going to go like this. I'm going to put the leaf like there. And then I am going to use the Stampin' Dimensional on the flower, or a piece of strip of it. To pop it up. Like so. And a strip of seal across that. And there you have an elegant, very elegant happy birthday card. My birthday's coming up next week, and my husband says, we'll make a card, and then I can give it to you instead of having to go buy one. And I said, oh, well, okay, this would work. This one would work. But he'll probably go buy me one anyway. His thing is to find a card that looks like it's handmade. And oftentimes, most of the time, it has this gold foiling on it. So now I can make it the gold foiling myself. If you buy this system, it's $160 US, and that gives you just the base. I'll show you. You get a magnetic thing to pick up the dies, or to, you know, like that, and then you can just release them. This one's small, a small die, so it's a little different. Doesn't want to release it, but with the big dies, with the one I used. This one is essential to help get it off the thing because it's hot to melt the foil against the cardstock. So you get the plate, which heats, and there's a cord that it attaches magnetically to that. You get this platform, which protects your surface from getting too hot. And then you have this to put the hot die on when you take it off the platform. However, the platform, if I put my hand right here, it would be very hot. But the sides are fairly cool, so you can take it. I actually walk across my room with it to use it in my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. You do have to have the Stampin' Up! Cut and Emboss machine because the distance here is just a little bit wider than the Silouette that we used to sell. So you do have to have the new machine to use this system. If you order the system between now and the end of the year, you get a free $30 class on using the foil system. And it was live here in July last week. But it's recorded, and so it's on demand now. You get a link when you purchase the system. You get a link to the class, and you can use it at any time. And go back and watch it more than once if you need to or want to. So at any rate, that's what we've got going right now. And to help offset the expense, I will give you one of the $35 hot foil dies. The Greetings one is the one that I want to give you, but it's unavailable right now. So if you preferred one of the others, I would be happy to send that to you instead. Thanks for watching. This is Sue, the Soggy Stamper. My blog is soggystamper.com, and I'll put this up on the blog with the measurements so that you can recreate it yourself. You could also do this with designer series paper. You don't have to have the foiling system to make a beautiful card like this. Some of the designer series papers, especially the specialty papers, have a lot of foil on them. So you could still get the effect. If you need any of the products, go to my blog. In the upper right-hand corner is a Shop 24/7 button. Click on that, and that will take you to my online store. If you have any questions, email me, sue@soggystamper.com. By the way, you might wonder, why the Soggy Stamper? Well, when I first started doing Facebook Lives and videos and actually doing the business, I lived in Southeast Alaska. And one day I was up in my stamp room and I was stamping away, and the wind was blowing like crazy and the rain was pelting because we were having close to a hurricane gauge storm. And I thought, Soggy Stamper, because it's always rainy in Southeast Alaska. When we moved down here, is still fairly pertinent because in the wintertime, Pacific Northwest gets a lot of rain. So, the soggy stamper. And now, rain or shine, it's stamping time. So thanks for watching. I'll put this up on my YouTube channel. And you have a wonderful weekend. And I'll see you again next Friday at 7 o'clock. And I'll have another something wonderful probably with foiling for you. No foiling. No foil. Anyway, bye-bye.